What is up out there? Yes, Big D Energy. Darren McCarty joined by Terry Foster, the professor today. Neil Rule, Joint Bell.
That be me.
What's up? Yeah, what's up, buddy? Obviously, fish in the fishbowl. Sawyer on the ones and twos. We're ready to go here on a hot Monday after disappointing weekend. But
well, I am hoping that, normally we lead off with the stupid Detroit Lions. I'm hoping you're smart enough to steer us in a different direction.
Well, let's just start here, Terry, because what I saw last night, and you know what I always say, Stone Cold Steve Austin was my favorite wrestler. I got, Grind Time Wrestling is D-Mac Stone Cold. Well, we got Stone Cold Isaiah Stewart of the Pistons here last night, and we got to start with the Pistons. Obviously, having LeBron James and those dreaded Lakers in town. Obviously, with the star power of that lineup, Davis, Westbrook, everything else. But the Pistons come up a little bit short. But there were some festivities down at the. What did you think about all the extracurriculars?
I loved it. I thought this was 1989 all over again, with people running all over the place. Beef stew, pissed off, and trying to get at LeBron James. So I loved it. I just thought it was a delightful thing. Not that I'm for violence, of course, but nothing really happened. And plus, you can make a case that Beef Stew really want to get at LeBron James, because how many times in sports do we see, man, I'm going to get this guy and everything, and then I'm with you. I'm saying, hey, what's up, D-Mac? How you doing there, bro?
Well, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're a listening audience, 93.5, 99.1, HD2, 94.7, on the radio, we're playing the video right here where you see there's a hard foul and get in his face. But the whole thing, when you see it erupt, it sort of dies down. But, Terry, it's hard enough to try to avoid the opposing team's players when you have to avoid tackling, because Cade Cunningham made a great, maybe leadership role with everybody. But if you get a chance to go on YouTube or watch exactly what happens, there's the ebbs and flows of this. Now, I wanted to ask you, because I have you here, and you mentioned the 89. You were right there for the bad boys. You were up front. You were center to see this. What's the difference as we see Isaiah Stewart running? It looks like he's trying to break tackles. He looks like DeAndre Swift there running through the line.
There's a big difference.
Yes.
He's running through security and everything, and then he sees DeAndre Jordan. All of a sudden, he's like, I think I better stop right here.
Do you think he stopped?
Yeah, he did. He saw DeAndre Jordan.
I think there's 8,000 guys there, and I think...
No, brother. He's going through these dudes, mowing through, and he sees DeAndre Jordan. All of a sudden, he's like, I can't move anymore.
See, here's the thing.
Play it again, brother.
I don't think it was that he couldn't move anymore. Is that by the time he was tired from breaking 8 tackles of his own guys, But the fact that
didn't want to get his ass kicked. How about that?
Or do you think he would have got his ass kicked?
But not by LeBron. DeAndre Jordan.
No, I understand that. That's where I like where you see where the different guys step up. If that happened in a hockey game, obviously, I'm going to be DeAndre Jordan. You're not going to get to Yzerman or Fedorov or whatever. Here's the thing. Back in the day, my question is, if Bill Laimbeer wanted to get a guy, if Rick Mahorn wanted to get a guy, they got the guy, right?
Bill Laimbeer got Charles Barkley, and Charles Barkley's a tough guy. They were thumping. They didn't stop when they saw each other. No, they started thumping.
Then that's
let's go New York Knicks and Miami Heat. They didn't stop. Those dudes fought. I think I loved what I saw out of Beef Stew. There's some emotion. He felt that he got disrespected and stuff. But look at my man right here. All right. All of a sudden, there's DeAndre Jordan, and all of a sudden, these security guards are much too strong for me now. I just mowed through these mugs a minute ago, and I was like, oh, my God.
I don't know if you're out there, but welcome to the chat. I'd like to see, we mentioned this. We got this conversation on the show the other day about Joink saying, man, I wish they'd let us fight in football and stuff like this.
Right.
And I said you should, guys get mad at each other, have a ring outside, take shoulder pads, your helmets off, and go at it. I think that's the difference. Everybody trying to be peacemaker and stuff. It doesn't. I'd like to see everybody split out and then have their beef or whatever the two guys and be done with it. But that's not the way it is. Instead,
Well, there's a difference between NFL players, NHL players, and NBA players. NBA players are more like mini corporations than the other sports. And I think these players realize how important and how much money they generate. They don't want to get hurt out there. Yeah, I want to show my boys I'm tough. I'll go up there and smack you across the face until I'm actually in your face, and then I might slow down a little bit. And NFL and NHL, it's like, we fighting because I got to fight. This is what I do. I got to protect my teammate. I got to do things. Now, as far as Beef Stew, I think if he had gotten in front of LeBron James the second time, yeah, I think he would have swatted him. But I do not believe he wanted any part of DeAndre Jordan. And DeAndre Jordan, I don't think would have fought him. I think he would just push them back and say, make sure you don't get close to LeBron James, because LeBron James is not an NBA player. He's the NBA.
That's a good point, Terry, because you got to protect the king, right? You got to protect the king.
But man, all of a sudden, he just went through, he was almost on the ground, stepped going, and then all of a sudden, there's DeAndre Jordan. All of a sudden, he can't do it. He's stopping. He's tired now.
I don't read it. I don't read as much of that into it, as far as I'd want to know from Pistons fans and stuff like this. Like you said, you loved it. I loved it too, because it shows you that, like, a care and emotion. That's something that these guys can build around. To me, is it more of the show, because you're never gonna get into a real fight in basketball like it was back in the day?
You're not going to get into a fight with LeBron James.
Right.
They're not going to allow that to happen. They would have snipers up in the second or third tier to shoot your ass if you hit LeBron James. That's how much he means to the league.
So you think when they play and getting questions in the chat, when is the next game? Well, Sunday, November 28th,
which,
in LA.
Isaiah Stewart will not be in the building.
He
Trust
won't.
me. No, they'll suspend him, and they will time it so that he won't play Sunday.
And that's the.
So we got to wait next year at the LCA to see what's going to happen.
That's because of LeBron. If this was anybody but LeBron, what if this was like Westbrook, or it was somebody else on that team?
Yeah, I think I think they got to show some strength in the league, so they're going to suspend him. But I definitely think with LeBron, he will not be there Sunday. Westbrook, maybe. But, here's the other thing. Maybe not with Westbrook, because Westbrook is a little bit crazy. So I don't think they want to have a malice in the palace, or a malice in, it's not even Staples Center anymore. They don't want to have a malice in L.A. because the reason that Stewart will get fined is because that crowd was electrified. Even though nobody came on the court, Detroit was the place where things got out of hand with the Indiana Pacers many years ago, and they don't want this to happen again. So they're going to make him an example of him. But you got to suspend LeBron James too, because this little oops, that was deliberate.
Well, it was deliberate, and also too, as a lot of people were saying, is LeBron's public enemy number one here. He didn't even, what a cheap way to get out of the game or take the out. You don't want to play in Detroit or play against them. My question is what does this, in your opinion, does this help the Pistons as far as the locker room, as far as the youth, as far as, Dwayne Casey's message, galvanizing?
You know what? Yes, it does, because they need something. They need something to motivate and spark this team. It's a team with young talent. It's a team that they need something to motivate them, something to show them the way. Now, in the short term, it didn't do that, because prior to the, whatever you want to call it, the fight, the Pistons were moving the ball around, scoring at will, playing a good game. Then when this happened, they started playing one-on-one basketball. And when you do that against good teams, guess what? You're not going to score. They're going to shut you down. Cade Cunningham tries to shoot a three over Anthony Davis. Then he gets the ball and then tries to drive on Anthony Davis. The last play of the game was, I thought, was a very good setup to try to tie with a three-pointer, but it went right into the wheelhouse of Anthony Davis. So the Pistons played too much one-on-one basketball. They forgot what got them there, and I don't know if the emotions of Beef Stew wanting to fight. LeBron got in their head, or they just felt they could do no wrong.
Well, I think that one of the things is there's the thing about sticking together, but then maturing to be able not to affect it on the court, right? Then you go one-on-one. You go one-on-one basketball. Most other teams have that talent. You look at the LA team individually, you're playing right into their strengths. Even without LeBron there, we're going one-on-one. So I think, we're watching some of the highlights from last night, is that it's being that consistent and not letting the emotion, because I think that emotionally, when, you get it gets a physical game, you get a guy kicked out, you get the best guy kicked out, then your emotions get a little bit high, and then your thought process and your mental game, it sort of goes away and it gets to be more street ball. We can't afford to play that.
Right, and there is a very fine line that athletes have to play. You hype yourself up before the game. You got your music on. You're talking trash. You're doing the whoop whoop and doing whatever you can to get yourself going. But you can't get too emotional where you forget about playing the game the right way. So, and I think what happened, the Pistons got so emotional that they forgot how to play the right way. But the great thing is time will settle them down. I think long term, this is going to be good for them. They're going to be more hyped up, more of a team, but they won't be so hyped up that they don't know what they're doing.
Right.
I think last night they forgot how to play basketball.
Did it remind you, Terry, like, was there a moment back before the Bad Boys, before all this stuff, but like the sort of galvanizing moments when you see that they're trying to learn how to play together, trying to get developed, but they that they have a team there. It's not like the individuals, because I feel team with, like, they have to play like a team, but I feel like they like each other. Like this.
And I think a key moment we saw Cade Cunningham talking to Isaiah Stewart. Now, Isaiah Stewart probably wasn't really listening to him at the moment, but he didn't push him away and say, get out of my face, because you don't know what you're talking about. He sort of, he sat there. It was a little bit calm with Cade Cunningham. So that's a good sign for me.
No, that is a great sign, and it goes back to the fact that, Cade, the maturity, the leadership, but it also, too, what we see, but it plays out to what the players show us, even in the most intense time. But you know what's intense, right? Well, gambling here in Michigan, obviously, mybookie.com, from all the biggest games to the smallest events, make every bet worth your while with MyBookie. Start by doubling your first deposit instantly with MyBookie's first deposit bonus. Double your money before you even place a bet. All you have to do is sign up and deposit using my exclusive promo code Woodward. Yes, Woodward at mybookie.com. Look, right now I'm looking at the line tonight for the Monday night game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home, -11. Over under is 50 against those New York Giants. What this tells me is I'll be watching the Manning Cats. But you need to go to mybookie.com today. Use code Woodward. Get that double up on your first deposit instantly, your account. No hassle, no wait. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. If you have a problem, 1-800-270-7117, Michigan Gambling Hotline. Big D Energy, T-Foss, D-Mac here today, Woodward Sports Network. We'll be right back.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust-resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Your Detroit alternative to the normal sports blah, blah, blah. It's Woodward Sports.
What's up, y'all? Yeah, it's the last day for the turkey game. So at noon today, Fish, what is that email you're giving out?
turkeygames2021@gmail.com.
turkeygames2021@gmail.com. At noon, I will give you the keyword to reach out, and we will get another winner. This is the last time. Obviously, 2 tickets to Detroit Thanksgiving Day game on Thursday, competing in our turkey games. That is red light, green light, egg target toss, and honeycomb challenge. We've taken this sort of off of the Squid Games on Netflix. So listen today at noon and 3 p.m. for the bottom line with Braylon Edwards and Ryan Armani. We're giving you a chance to sit front row on Thanksgiving. All you have to do is survive our Squid or Turkey Games. Listen today at noon. Go to that website, Fish Told You To, and I will give you the key word to qualify. You could be down at Fort Field, listen to the broadcast, and enjoy a wonderful Turkey Day and watch the Lions have a chance to beat the Chicago Bears and the Red Rocket.
Okay. I keep hearing that every week. Hey, this week the Lions have a good shot at beating Cincinnati. The Lions have a good shot at beating Green Bay. The Lions have a good shot. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Okay, whatever. Just try to get some people down there. If you haven't been, it's a great way to go see the stadium. But yeah, we're gonna have to talk about these Lions, Terry. I know that it is what it is, but 13-10 loss. So they covered the spread.
Whoop-de-doo, man. That game was so boring until DeAndre Swift made that 57-yard touchdown run.
Which, if you want to start there, the Lions lose 13-10. Tim Boyle in there, our own TB12, 15 of 23, 77 yards and 2 interceptions. That is...
Which TB12 do you like better, the Lions or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers one?
No, you think...
but there's a bigger picture in this whole thing.
Okay.
It has me scared.
Uh-oh.
Now, I understand that this team is devoid of talent, but I am wondering if Dan Campbell is that guy to lead you when they do get talent, because Dan Campbell makes so many mistakes. Now, is this the bust your kneecaps, we're going to be an aggressive team, or is it going to be the passive, we're not going to go for 4th and 1 team that Dan Campbell showed us this week? Now, against the Rams, he's like, ripping off his shirt and doing everything, doing the Hulk Hogan and everything. We're going to do this. And then this week, it's like, okay, let's be docile. Let's be conservative. Let's be smart. Which team is it?
But to that point, don't you see him, as far as we're talking about the talent, but to me, he's learning to coach as he goes.
It's dangerous.
I know it's dangerous. I didn't say it wasn't dangerous,
brother,
but
you know what else I was told? Matt Millen was learning how to run a club when he took over the Lions. How did that work out?
No, it didn't work out at all. Hey, Sawyer, we got some Dan Campbell comments on Tim Boyle and the quarterback, and then to Terry's point, why he kicked the field goal late in the game to make it the 1-score game.
Yeah, so we're here to bust kneecaps.
Yeah, I know.
So let's kick a field goal.
He was, look, he was a little rusty, a couple of little throws. He and Swift were on the same page on the first interception, and that's not all him. That's on both of them. The long pick that he had, that was a hell of a throw. Now, you'd like to just pull it inside just a little bit, but, he pulled the trigger on it, and he gave us a chance, and it's either got to be our ball or nobody's, but you got to throw some of those. So, and look, I wanted to be smart, too. I didn't want to throw this kid to the wolves. That's not fair to him either. So I thought for what we asked him to do, he was solid, and a couple of those interceptions are, there again, one of them, it's like, well, that's the price to do business, and you hope it's not the price because, like I say, it's yours or nobody's. And then the first one is just, you're going in, you're going out, what are you doing? Don't throw it, and so, but no, I'm not disappointed in the kid, I'm not disappointed in him. Yeah, I thought about it, but I told myself the night before, I said, be smart. Hang in there. If we play this game the right way like last week, we're going to have an opportunity to get it back and, play smart. Don't put ourselves in a bind. So I was close, but then I chose to kick the field goal. Felt good about our defense.
That's the one thing, Terry, is that honestly is like that defense plays hard. I mean, they're out
They do.
there.
I'm
They're
impressed
out
by
there
them.
a lot, and you know what? Some of the plays, but you see that they don't quit on every play. And to me, that to your point about Dan Campbell learning to coach, well, does that tell me that I've seen improvements and they're listening to Aaron Glenn? You know what I'm saying? They have. There's something that they're doing there defensively because they're making interceptions. They're getting pressure. I know Nick Chubb ran for 2 touchdowns and 140 yards, but I didn't think like that. Definitely, the defense kept them in that game the whole way.
Kept them in the game, but when it's time to decide matters, the opponent, whether it's on offense or defense, dictates what they want to
Right.
do. That's the problem. Now, as far as Dan Campbell not going for it on 4th and 1 and instead kicking the field goal, to me, that looks like a man that doesn't have faith in his offense at all. He'll never admit it, but the Lions on 4th and 1, they can't run the ball. On 4th and 1, when they run the ball, they usually get stuffed. 9 times out of 10, they're stuffed. Then, on the other hand, are you going to trust Boyle to hit a pass on 4th and 1? He didn't have faith in that, so he's probably looking. Okay, it's 4th and 1. I know it, but we can't make this play. So I'm just going to kick a field goal. And at least I got 3 points. Doesn't put me in the spot I want to be in, but at least I got 3 points because I do not have faith in my offense.
Well,
that's what I read out of it.
And here's the frustrating thing, I think, is when we go into what do you have to lose. So there's that we want to be aggressive and lose, right? So the fact that it wasn't the fierce lion going down, it was the timid little cat, right? You know, we didn't go down with as much as we went down with that fight, right, on defense and playing the game and say that the effort was there. We really didn't go down with a fight because we let the other teams dictate.
No, if I'm 0-8-1 at the end of the game, I'm pulling my pants down.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do whatever I can, even if I don't care about being criticized by the media, forget all this stuff, but I'm doing stuff. I'm going for it on 4th and 1. I know I'm doing that. Unless if it's like 11 or 12 minutes left in the game or it's real early in the 4th quarter, maybe I'd kick that field goal. But on 4th and 1, in that position, the 25-yard line, I'm going for it.
No, it's and I mean, at different times, and obviously DeAndre Swift with that great run and some running game, is that there is something that you watch him give it to Kabinda earlier in the game, as a fullback, and the fact that you say to me is that at 4th and 1 we can't run it. And then I'm like, well, the jumbo package, why can't you? You got to sort of pick something that's going to define you as your team. And then maybe it's like the no quit. Like you said early on, he was going to be the bite the kneecaps. Well, bite them. Go through biting them the whole way, win or lose. And that's what we haven't seen. It's the inconsistency. And as a player, when you're sitting there and you're trying to find something to believe in, and the coach isn't, like, to your point, Terry, if the coach believes in you more and say, we got to go, that's going to bring belief into you as a team. So I think the tentativeness, I mean, we saw it all over. When you're talking about throwing interceptions and it's a good interception, is that really that winning teams don't do?
All right, let me put on your thinking cap, young man.
All right.
You brought up the word identity. What is the identity of the 2021 Detroit Lions? Go.
Can't tell you. There isn't, at different times you're going to grab onto different word, resilient or whatever like this, but no, because they're the inconsistent. So I think if anybody has a word, throw it in the chat, because I'd have to think about that.
I tell you what, the identity of this team is we try hard when we feel like it. That, to me, that's the identity. Because they do play hard sometimes. The other times they're like any other bad team.
But if you look and here's the frustrating thing, right? You look at what Houston just did. Houston just beat Tennessee, right? Houston's supposed to have the worst team in the league, right? You know what I'm saying?
Supposedly.
Like the Jacksonville, I mean, I know they got beat, but I mean, they're winning games. We got to define what an identity is here, right? Other than try. We can't have try. It's got to be go down in flames or not. I think that, defensive, there's another, under 20 games. We got 9 of them under 20 points scored or something like that this year.
Yeah,
there's
no offense.
We got no offense. So nobody, like watching the quarterbacks throw and stuff like this, I don't know. Where is everybody at with this team? Especially going into Thanksgiving, where, play at Chicago at home, and here's the deciding sign. And I guess I wanted to ask you, does this mean that the people are talking, the fans are finally talking? Because you never hear them openly advertising for tickets available for Thanksgiving game at Ford Field on TV.
I think this will be one of the smallest Thanksgiving crowds that they've had. Because
is this a message or is this not a message?
I don't think fans are sending a message yet, but they're getting close. But I think now Thanksgiving was always an event in Detroit. Now this season has been such a disaster. Thursday is not an event. It's a football game being played when I want to eat my turkey and my dressing and my whatever kind of pie you eat. I'd rather do that than go see these clowns play, because it's not an event. It's just a football game. A football game, by the way, that once again, national folks are clamming up. Maybe Detroit shouldn't have this game.
No, I obviously saw that. It's just, background, which in the past, and now the relevance to that question, right, is you have no product. So, right. I mean, I'm hoping they haven't won recently on Thanksgiving. So hopefully, if this means that it gets better in the long run, then I guess we got to have this now.
Well, but I guess. But we had the Millen Man March.
I get it.
And they kept Matt Millen. They had some. There have been some years where the Lions averaged like 38 or 40,000 people. That didn't send a message. So I don't know how you're going to send a message. And the other thing the NFL discovered, they don't need people in the stands to make money.
No.
Because of television.
Absolutely.
So I'm not sure if you can get through the thick skulls of the Detroit Lions.
You know what? If I was going to go down there, though, I want to get a good pregame in there, Sawyer, and I get my arm loose. Is there a way to get my arm loose down there?
Oh, I know a place
you
can
know
get your
a place?
arm loose. Oh, yeah. Come on down to Hamtramck and go to the Foaling Warehouse.
Oh, Foaling,
it's
yes.
perfect. And, I mean, holiday season's around. All of us are trying to get our corporate holiday parties going, get the family together. This is the perfect place to go. You can show up and play, or you can also rent a lane to bring the whole family out there. So, got to take advantage of that. They have a bunch of different beers. They got a $2 mystery beer machine. Me and Neil are all about that. You put $2 in. You don't know what you're going to get, but it comes out. It's a surprise every time. It's great. I know we're having a Woodward sports party there here pretty soon. So it's a great time. Just going down to foalingwarehouse.com or go to the Foaling Warehouse in Hamtramck. And this is Big D Energy. We got Terry on the desk today with D-Mac, Fish in the fishbowl, and I'm over here pressing the ones and twos. We'll be right back.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10.5 months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
a graduate
of Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Welcome back here. Big D Energy, D-Mac, T-Foss coming at you. Yeah, we're just going to continue. I always say embrace the suck. So we're going to continue with the suck in the state and go to the Ohio State Michigan State game. Yes, 56-7 final.
And it could have been 76-7.
49-0 Ohio State led. C.J. Stroud, 32 of 35, 655 total yards, threw for 432, 6 touchdowns. We were looking for the one thing, two big things here, right? C.J. Stroud put himself ahead in the Heisman category competition because of that game, and Kenneth Walker had 6 carries. Obviously, because the game played out the way it was, and I said to you earlier on, Terry, this was the Ryan Day in Ohio State, and if this is it, and Michigan State didn't pick up their secondary and didn't fix some of the issues that they've had all year, they turned over the ball early, it would be detrimental, and it played out the way that it could have played out.
Well, you can't just fix your secondary during the season to compete with Ohio State. They have 3 NFL receivers. They have a young quarterback who will probably develop into an NFL quarterback. They got a pretty good offensive line, and they are the big monsters in the Big Ten. Okay, Ohio State is like Alabama and Clemson back in the day to the rest of the Big Ten. The Big Ten, the only time you can compete with Ohio State is when Ohio State doesn't really take you seriously. So that's we've seen games. Ohio State might be vulnerable this year. Every time you say that, the next game they go and smash somebody by 50. I think they're going to take Michigan State seriously. They'll take Michigan seriously, and then these teams, they just roll over. It's not even fun anymore to watch.
No, it definitely wasn't fun the other day. I mean, I saw Stick got 10 bags of leaves raked during the state game. I'm sure he wasn't the only one. But the thing that got me, Terry, is the fact of how effective and, like you said, this offense is. Because it's not, can you put points on their defense? Because I think even though Michigan State didn't, other teams have proved in the past that they're vulnerable. But this Ohio State offense puts up 50-plus points a game.
With ease.
With ease.
Ease, brother.
With ease. And to me, what we've seen is, and are we putting too much stock into the loss that Ohio State had to Oregon early in the year? Because to me, Ryan Day, he's one of the best, coaches in college football who's got that NFL mentality sort of pedigree, because this Ohio State team, when they're running on all cylinders, they're tough to stop. And I'd like to see this team, if they are this good to represent, to see how good they are against the best of the best in either Georgia or Alabama, which is, what it looks like. I think that this was a big statement game for Ohio State coming into Michigan next week, because if you say which game would they be more focused on, or what would be Michigan? I mean, there's no love loss that Ryan Day is going to try to put 100 on them.
Right, and that game's going to be hyped up all week, so we're all going to be on edge, ready for this game. So, yeah, they will be, but Michigan's at home. I don't expect Michigan to be down 49-0 at the half, or even 35-0 at the half. I think the butt kicking is coming, but the butt kicking may come later in the game.
Right,
they'll wear them down because they're just better than them. And Jim Harbaugh has not proven as a coach that he can outcoach the better coaches, that he can outperform them in the fourth quarter where a lot of games are decided. I just think Ohio State is just head and shoulders above the rest of the Big Ten.
No, it absolutely is, and staying with Michigan State, who is still 9-2. Obviously the big question is Mel Tucker the coach? With the big contract and stuff like this, then going into Ohio State.
I heard a lot of that on Twitter and from.
Well, you're always gonna hear.
Here is the deal. A lot of people think, well, because Mel Tucker lost 56-7 to Ohio State, will LSU and other teams still want him? The answer to that is yes. Schools don't look at a coach and say, okay, well, he lost this game, he got blown out, so I don't want him anymore. The reason you want Mel Tucker is because you saw what he did in the offseason with this team. Most coaches would have looked at their roster and said, you know what, we're just not going to be good this year. But what Tucker did is he went to the transfer portal. He recruited well. He's got his hooks into some real young kids that are going to come through the Michigan State system later. So what you have to do is you look at what Mel Tucker did to turn this program around this quickly, And can he apply that to my school? That's what you have to look at if you want Mel Tucker as your coach. And what Michigan State did, they got the boosters involved.
Absolutely.
That's
the key, because you don't take any money out of the university, right? It's all the boosters. And here's the thing, right? Where I relate it, Terry, tell me that if I'm right or not with this thinking, but, recruiting and the transfer portal is used a lot of the same way, except, the younger guys are if you know how to use it. Mel Tucker has proven, not only with what he's done in Michigan State, but he's got the eyeballs of all the other big institutions that are looking, like the LSUs, the places that, Dan Mullen just got fired in Florida, all these big places that want the culture change. So the culture change takes time. Obviously, you said you can't fix the defense in a season, but you fix it with what's coming and different things like that.
You can fix it, but you can't fix it
against Ohio State.
Against Ohio State to compete against those guys.
Right, which is the big part, is when you look at the talent throughout everywhere else. And then it's the execution, because they executed their game plan, like I said, scoring points and doing whatever it is. What does this mean, right, for MSU going into hosting Penn State next week, other than obviously a must-win? But what kind of game, or what do they have to do to come out to prove that they've really made that next step this year?
I do, even though we expect them to win 4 or 5 games this year, expectations do change. I do think they need to beat Penn State. They finished 10-2. I mean, they'll go to a fine bowl. They won't go to the Rose Bowl. Michigan probably go to that. But, they may go to the Citrus Bowl and play a good SEC team or something like that. So I think that's important to them, because they're trying to show that they're not a second-rate program. And even though, the Citrus Bowl is not a top-of-the-tier bowl, it would be a great stepping-off point to Michigan State to go in there, win that game, try to finish 11-2. Even if they lose it and finish 10-3, that's a big season for this program.
I guess that's my question, Terry, is will they get, you look at this, right, as the different bowls. There's, the New Year's Day game bowls and all this stuff. Is there a certain bowl that we assume State wins, right? A good bowl that they're going to get into that would show you that nationally they're looked at like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like if they get into the Citrus
if they beat Penn State and go to the Rose Bowl, then that means that the national perception for Michigan State is different.
Right.
But that's not going to happen.
No. That's probably Michigan's, right?
Because since they lost Ohio State, now Michigan has leapfrogged them as the more desirable team.
Right.
And it's going to take years and years and years of Michigan State winning, Michigan State beating Michigan, beating Ohio State again sometimes, because Michigan State did beat Ohio State a few years ago, a couple of times. So it's going to take that, because in college football, we're still living in this 1970s and 1980s when Michigan was king. We're still living back then when Washington was king, when USC was king. It takes a long time to change the perception of programs. Michigan State from the 70s and 80s was a crap program. And I remember George Perlis, when he coached Michigan State, he was so proud. He says, we've beaten Michigan 3 out of the last 7 years. In other words, you still had a losing record, but you beat them 3 out of 7 years. To me, I'm not impressed by that. But that's the mentality of Michigan State. And Michigan State had to buy themselves into bowls at Hawaii and Texas and things, second-rate bowls. That stench is still there, and Michigan State it's going to take a while to overcome that.
Does the contract with Mel Tucker and the respect that sort of nationally gets help propel this?
Yes. Michigan State had to give Mel Tucker a big contract. Here's what they would have done in the past. They would have said, oh, geez, LSU wants our coach. USC wants our coach. Bip. We done. See you. Wish you the best of luck. don't take it if you don't want. But the door is always open. But they just throw their hands up and say, okay, we're done. Now this is a new Michigan State where they say, okay, you want him, then you got to really pay him because we're going to pay this man $9.5 million a year. And that money is insurance not only for LSU or USC not to get him today, but not to roll back in 5 years and say, okay, we're going to get him now. Because if you offer him like $6 or $7 million, they're like, okay, we'll wait and see if he proves himself there. Then we'll come back with the real money the state doesn't want to deal with. So I think what state has done, we are now trying to play big boy football. May not achieve it, but at least we have the perception that we want to play big boy football. Rather than saying, oh, LSU wants our coach, we give up. We're going to fight to keep him. We're going to get the boosters involved because that's what they do in Alabama, at LSU. That's what they do at USC. The boosters are like, okay, we got money. We want a good program. We'll pay our coach. We'll put in money to upgrade the facilities. We're going to do whatever we can to make sure this is a great football program. A lot of people think the athletic department decides how great a football team is going to be. Now that changed years and years and years ago. First of all, the presidents took over the athletic programs on the down low, and the athletic directors, I'm not saying that they're figureheads, but they don't have as much power as we think they do. And so for years, the boosters have like taken over. And this is not new. I used to cover Michigan football. I was the beat writer, and I was so frustrated. How come I'm covering this damn team and I don't know a damn thing that's going on? But a key thing happened to me. Some of the boosters reached out to me and told me what was going on. At first, I didn't believe them. They told me who was going to start at quarterback. They told me who was going to some things that I'm like, well, I can't believe these guys.
How you know
and then
that?
I was like, damn, they know. So then that's how I knew, okay, I have to follow the boosters because they got the money and the knowledge.
Follow the money.
Yeah, and the coaches tell them stuff.
Yeah, no, and it's follow the money, and that's what you have to do. And it's an exciting time, Hopefully, Michigan State, Mel Tucker, the coach that he is, can get these guys to regroup and have a big game against Penn State. But we're going to talk about Michigan and them taking care of business in Maryland. But what I know is that no matter what, any Wolverine, you need the Coast Portland machete, knife, lamps, lights, whatever. Get a hold of me or go to coastportland.com, WSN 20% off. All your outdoor do-it-yourselfer, FY, fix it up, do whatever. Leaves are coming down, trees need trimming. Go to coastportland.com. Been around since 1919. Use WSN 20. He's T. Foss, I'm D-Mac. Woodward Sports Network. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. Did you know mortgage rates are still at generational lows? If you haven't refinanced your home loan yet, there's still time. Now is your second chance to refinance. You could lower your monthly payment, eliminate credit card debt, or even take cash out by using your home's equity. Call Hall Financial now to get started with your free 5-minute mortgage review. 866-CALL-HALL or chat with us online at callhallfirst.com.
Follow us everywhere. Just search Woodward Sports on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, IG, and more.
Welcome back on this Monday. Big D Energy, T. Foss, D-Mac here. Well, we went through embracing the suck of the weekend in football, and now we'll get to the bright spot because the Michigan Wolverines did what they needed to do. Pounded Maryland 59-18, had a great 503 total offense. Edwards gave him 170 and a touchdown. They get to 10-1, facing 10-1 Ohio State. This is everything that we wanted at the beginning of the year, meaning all the eggs in one basket. Winner pretty much takes all as far as in the Big Ten, and I'm impressed with what Michigan did because they took care of the business at hand and what they had to do. And we saw a couple little finagle plays in there that I liked. And so, I mean, I guess I'm excited. The bottom line, Terry, is the fact, do I think that Michigan can score enough points to win the game against Ohio State? On this Monday, I say no. Are they going to be able to keep Ohio State to what? Under 40? I'm not sure.
Can they do that? The key for Michigan is they do have great defensive ends. And with Hutchinson and Ojabo. And I'm going to take this to my dealings with people in the NFL. What they've always told me is if you can disrupt the quarterback's thinking and make him nervous, then you got a shot to beat anybody. So in this regard, normally I would say, Ohio State's going to beat about 4 touchdowns. That's what my gut is saying. But I go back to the things I've heard from NFL people. If you got great defensive ends, you got a shot, because all of a sudden, if you're better than that left tackle and that right tackle, you're going to be in his face all the time. So instead of the quarterback patting the ball and just throwing it, he's got to throw it up or throw it sidearm or do funky stuff like that. Does C.J. Stroud, is he going to be in that position? If he is, then he's not going to look as good as he did against Michigan State, obviously.
No, that's true. And then it gets down to the fact of the matter of you're facing Ohio State. So who are the hosses on that line, right? Because you're probably going against some of the best. Like this is we're talking. We know what Hutchinson and Jabo have done, and the sacks, the disruption, both of them. All year long. But they're probably going against a veteran, cohesive, offensive, unit that. But again,
here's
like you
the problem. Ohio State can go up the middle on you. They don't have to go outside. They don't have to roll their quarterback out. So they can hurt you in so many ways. If Ohio State was just a passing team, I'd say, Michigan's got a shot. But no, they're very diversified. Number 1 offense in the nation.
So you mentioned this earlier before the break, Terry, that you have to see this game playing out, that Michigan, this should be a good game, through the first half, or a closer game where it's, not going to be a blowout, but then it gets into the second half and it comes down to, do you have the confidence in who's coach? Do you have the confidence in making the right call coming down the stretch? The Ohio State's Ryan Day or Michigan's Jim Harbaugh? And I think that if history proves itself, we're still waiting for Harbaugh to make that crucial decision, or the coaching decision, or to win this big game, right? Because I don't think from history that he's got that in him, to trust him to make that call.
Doesn't. I mean, he can beat Illinois, he can beat Northwestern, he can smack Iowa now and then. But once again, this is the boogeyman. Ohio State is that team that Michigan has a couple moral victories over the last 15 years. But they usually not only lose them, but just get their butts kicked.
Now, how much? Well, let's play. Let's play hypotheticals here. And what would this mean if Michigan wins this game? Not only record, but perception, or what is the conversation Monday next week if Michigan wins this game?
The conversation is a short one. They're back. Even if they're not, it would take a lot of load off of Jim Harbaugh. It would take a lot of pressure off Michigan fans, because the one thing that Spartan fans, because, Michigan fans can't stand Michigan State fans. A lot of them won't admit it because they're a pain in the ass. They got over them, been to Indy, been to the national championship semifinals, and you haven't. It takes all that away if they can beat Ohio State. And then, of course, you have to validate by winning the Big Ten championship. And it seems like anytime you get a big victory, you have to validate.
Right.
Let's go the miracle on ice. The United States beats Russia, right?
Listen, Terry, I am 1,000,000% behind you because they beat them in the semis and they had to beat Finland in the finals, which they won 3-1. I get excited. I was 8 years old. And I understood beating the Russians was huge, but wait a second.
You had to validate.
You got to win,
right?
Because then it doesn't play out. It doesn't matter.
Everybody thinks they beat Russia for the gold medal.
No,
that is not true.
That's not true. They beat Finland for the gold.
What will happen here is Harbaugh finally beats Ohio State, and it's kind of like a whew. 20 years from now, when Michigan fans talk about winning the Big Ten, they say, yeah, we beat Ohio State for the first time in 10 years and won the Big Ten. No, you got to validate.
Right.
You have to validate against, what was it, Wisconsin?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, that's the whole thing too, right? Because the next question is they do beat Ohio State, then they got to win the Big Ten, and then if they get in themselves in the big playoff dance, like, is there? What I'm saying is that if they lose at all, right? They lose to Ohio State, okay. Probably Rose Bowl, probably, and look at it that, okay, yeah, decent season, successful season. I don't know what the Michigan fans sort of think, but the fact is, you got to prove it. It's the same thing as I say about March 26th, Lemieux. Yeah, beating them up was great, but the fact we had to win the game in overtime, which made the story, even better. It's like the playoffs. So I hope that Michigan wins, comes out, and this builds them, but they take that momentum to do something big, because I don't want to see them win and then just crap to bed, right? Which I wonder if the Michigan fans think that if they beat Ohio State that they're on their way, we're back, this is it, or is there another part of the fan base waiting for the shoe to drop?
Well, here's the other thing about college football, though. Let's say they beat Ohio State and validate and win the Big Ten title. Now, if Michigan goes to the semifinals and just gets destroyed by Georgia, it's like, okay,
then they're back in the same.
They're in the same boat as Michigan State.
Right.
So now you two can look at each other eyeball to eyeball and make fun of each other, but nobody has an advantage over the other.
Right.
So I think Michigan is in a position where they have to have 3 consecutive good games. Beat Ohio State, validate, and then if you play Georgia or Alabama or something, you know what? Lose 24-14. Don't lose 45-20 or 60-20 or something stupid like that. Have a normal football game. Then you don't have to win that game. Just be competitive and say, hey, you know what? If it wasn't for a couple plays, we could have won this game. That's what you have to do.
How much of an advantage will it be that it's at the big house? And is it advantage to either team that it's at noon? Noon in the big house?
I think I don't think it's an advantage to either team, because when Michigan and Ohio State plays, and when they've played the last 50 years, normally that game is at noon. So they know noon Saturday, show up. So obviously you could have an advantage if it's at night, but you don't want to have that game at night.
No,
I like noon football games, so that's good. But I don't think it's an advantage for either one. The advantage for Ohio State is, look at those horses they got over there. Those are some tough dudes.
Well, tough dudes, and you nailed it as far as 3 legit NFL wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, usually you might, if you have one, you're lucky. So, what did you think of as far as the way that Michigan executed against Maryland? Did you see something that gave you confidence?
You know what? Don't care.
Don't care.
Don't care. You know what? It's Maryland. You're supposed to beat Maryland. You're supposed to beat them easily. And the unfortunate thing about a college football season now is most programs play a 3 or 4 game schedule. I don't care what you do against Illinois. Down south, I don't care what you do against Mississippi State. I don't care what you do against Kentucky or Tennessee. What do you do against Georgia, maybe Texas A&M, LSU when they were good? Of course, they're going to fire their coach now. But What do you do in those big marquee games? And to me, Michigan simply just Wolverines did what they're supposed to do. You're supposed to clown Maryland. Maryland is lacks confidence. They lack, their coach Loxley was talking about, we don't have depth, period. So when you hear a coach say that, you know you should beat those guys.
Well, yeah, you should. And, I wonder if it too, because to me it plays out as well for Michigan the way the schedule did, the way that, to lose to Michigan State, but to be able to come back, to beat Penn State, to be able to bounce back, to play the Maryland, to get the tape on Ohio State against Michigan State. I hope that, and the whole thing, Terry, is I hope that this game is everything that it's built up to be. And like you said, going into the fourth quarter, we got a one-score game, or it's a close game, or a legitimate chance to read. But my question to you is, if you were to have a libation during the game, is there a particular kind you might want to have, depending if Michigan's winning or losing?
Well, you may not think I'm a real man, because I may have like a dirty temple.
A dirty temple?
I heard that from Kennedy. And a dirty temple is a Shirley temple with vodka in it.
Wow.
And if I'm going to have a dirty temple, I can't even say it, it's going to be with Gypsy vodka. Because it's 50 different formulas. It's best tasting. And it makes that dirty temple really, really, really good. Smoothest vodka on the market. Gypsy is gluten-free, corn distilled, 6 times using, now check this out, artesian spring water. So it's using that good stuff in my dirty temple. So I don't know if that's going to be a dirty temple or not, because Gypsy makes it so smooth and so delicious. Try a bottle today. Ask for it by name, Gypsy. And always, no matter how many dirty temples you have, drink responsibly, please.
Amen.
Woodward Sports is giving you a chance to sit front row on Thanksgiving. All you have to do is survive our squid game. Nope, our turkey games. Listen every day to the Morning Woodward Show at 9 a.m. Big D Energy at noon. And the bottom line at 3 p.m. for your chance to qualify. The winner of turkey games will get tickets to the Thanksgiving Day Detroit game.
Hey, it's Thanksgiving. Shouldn't you be in Detroit losing a football game right now?
Plus a turkey. So if you think you can master our turkey games challenges, watch, listen, and win. Make sure you're following @Woodward Sports on all social media, or go to woodwardsports.com for additional chances to qualify. May the best turkey win.
Welcome back, Big D Energy, T-Foss, D-Mac. Yes, it is that time. It is noon. Fish, give them the email again, bud.
turkeygames2021@gmail.com.
turkeygame2021@gmail.com. We will take gobble gobble. Give me a gobble gobble in the email. Fish will get back to you. And we will enter you to win the 2 front row seats. Get ready to play the turkey games. You can enter this noon today with Fish, and then on the bottom line with your last chance. Today's the last day, correct, Fish?
Correct. Today is the last day. Tomorrow is the finale.
Tomorrow is the finale. There you have it. Thank you, Fish, and enjoy the turkey games.
It can't be gobble gobble. It's got to be gobble gobble.
Gobble gobble. That is. That is. That's a good one. I can't go that. Gobble gobble. There you go. Around the NFL last night, yesterday, couple of wins that I didn't see coming. A couple of things that I want to point out. Obviously, if you have Jonathan Taylor in your fantasy, we mentioned it because Joink had mentioned it. Obviously, him running with Derrick Henry out. He ran for 204 yards, 5 touchdowns. Terry, is that good?
That's a solid day.
Solid day. What now with this Colts team and with them establishing Jonathan Taylor, as you know, I liked him coming out of Wisconsin. You know, staying healthy and finally doing this. Does this brings that extra flavor for Carson Wentz to not, because one thing that I noticed as Jonathan Taylor runs better, Carson Wentz gets less hurt. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. That's why the running game is so important. And because of Jonathan Taylor, you have a better shot in making it on 3rd and 4th and 1 by running the football, because he's going to go straight ahead, and you're not going to stop this man.
What do you make of this Bills team? Because the Bills have lost, the loss 41-15 to the Colts, but also they lost earlier 9-6 this year to Jacksonville.
Yeah, I can't figure them out.
I can't figure them out either.
I thought they had arrived. I thought they were ready to make that next step. Maybe losing the AFC Championship game. That could still happen, but they have some head-banging losses, which shows, I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago with the Wings, that you're going to ascend up the ladder, but there's going to be some games and some moments that you can't explain that's going to tell the world we're not quite ready. We might look good in spaces. We might be able to kick people's butts now and then, but there's going to be mind-bending games where we're like a couple touchdown favorites, and we're going to lose those games. I think that's where the Bills are right now.
Well, and the other mind bender, as I mentioned, before when we were talking about the Lions, but the Texans beat the Titans, right? 22-13, and I understand Derrick Henry's out and stuff like this, but still, if I have the Texans, the Jaguars, and the Lions in the same conversation, and yet the Texans and Jaguars figure out a way to win games, we are the worst team in the league,
right?
By far. When these teams can go out, now, what do you look? Because obviously we want to look at the opponent for Thanksgiving in a short week, and the Bears come off a loss to the Ravens, 16-13. Do we have a chance this Thursday, Terry? The Lions with the Chicago?
I hate answering that question every week, but I'll do it for you.
Thank you.
They do have a chance because Justin Fields hasn't been this world beater. I mean, he's a rookie, and that's supposed to happen. But aggressive Dan Campbell has to do that on defense. They can't just stop them. They got to create turnovers. They got to make things uneasy for him. They need him to throw a couple picks, and you throw picks by being aggressive defensively and putting pressure on this young guy. So that's why I think they have a shot. It's one thing to be a rookie in this league. It's another thing to be a rookie on the road in this league. And that's when you just, maybe sometimes you crap in your pants. But if you play a defense that's slated just to stop them and he's comfortable, he might show out. So that's why you got to be in his face all the time.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that when you're saying that and coming off the way our defense has played, they kept Baker Mayfield in check. They've,
But Baker Mayfield was barely moving too.
Right. No, you're right.
I wouldn't have started him if it were me.
Yeah, no, probably not the best, but it also too goes to show you, was the conversation in the Browns locker room the same as why did we see Tim Boyle and not David Blau, back with Jared Goff and stuff, because maybe he's their best option to win. They needed wins. They got the win at the end of the day. But yeah, Baker Mayfield looks hurt, but hopefully you would assume that the Thursday game is going to be a low scoring, more fair, the execution wise. The one thing is I hope, the bright spot for us is, DeAndre Swift, we keep running the ball and stuff like this. But again, up in the air. What about the Vikings pulling it out 34-31, beating Aaron Rodgers and the Packers?
I know that. I mean, that's huge for them. But, you're at home and you got some breaks at the end. So those things are going to happen. Green Bay has a propensity to look bad sometimes on turf, on the road. And so, that's big for Minnesota. I don't put that much stock into it because I expect Green Bay to lose some games on the road in this division because they are the kings, and I think this division gets up higher for them than other teams do.
Absolutely. The Eagles beat the Saints 40-29. Darius Slay with his third pick six of the year.
You know what? We talk about Matthew Stafford getting a lot of love and a lot of respect in the NFL because he's with another team. Darius Slay's getting it too because he's not only picking you up, he's getting these pick sixes and, showing out. I think now his full talents are on display because he's with a different system, and we can sit back and see the great things that he can do.
And I love Slay because he brings it, but he's one of those guys that you show him some love and he'll show you love right back. And that Philly team's the way that he is. It shows that system, like you said, he's showing talent to the utmost. But that's impressive. Anytime you get a pick six, but to have three on the year. Did you watch America's game of the afternoon? The Chiefs and the Cowboys. The Chiefs winning 19-9.
I did. I wanted to fall asleep on it, but I watched it. And
now, that wasn't the game that I expected. It was more like a little bit sloppier,
and I think both teams. In particular, let's look at Kansas City. We keep waiting for them to explode and start winning games and looking great. I think this game still shows that they're struggling in some regards. Patrick Mahomes has done a better job of game management. And I know in this state, game management is a dirty word. But you need to be a game manager in certain situations. It gets you it helps you along better than trying to create things that are not there. And I think Patrick Mahomes was creating or trying to create the ghosts that weren't there, and that's why they got in trouble.
This might be a good sign. Disciple 22 says Justin Fields has broken ribs and possible spleen injury and no Khalil Mack for the game against the Lions.
That's right. Andy Dalton is going to play.
The Red Rocket.
That's
the
right.
Red Rocket. Now,
that's probably exactly what the Bears need. They need a veteran on Thanksgiving Day and to beat the Lions. That probably gives the Bears a better shot at beating the Lions.
Yeah, we'll go out. How about the Cardinals getting it done, beating the Seahawks 23-13? Seahawks is this over? Is this the Russell Wilson?
Well, it's over this year.
Yeah.
But it's an organization I believe will figure it out. They'll figure out what they need to build around Russell Wilson, and it's a team that this was the quiet little thing. There was dissension in that locker room. Everybody didn't like Russell Wilson. They thought he was too much of a pretty boy, and the organization liked him too much. And I think over time that hurt that organization. So now what you're going to have to do is figure out who can work with him, who respects him, doesn't look at him as this pretty boy. And maybe you need some younger guys that look up to Russell Wilson and think he's a football god. That might be a better fit for them. So you don't have these veterans who think they should be getting more love and more respect than Russell Wilson.
That and almost looking at it, it's almost Detroit's like a place where, forget the contract with Goff or whatever, but if it coming in, that it might be a guy, right, to build with.
Right.
But doesn't matter. And the last game I wanted to get to was probably one of the most exciting games of the weekend, which you didn't see because we saw Pittsburgh play last week to a tie. But the Chargers outlasted the Steelers 41-37. Austin Eckler with 4 touchdowns for any of you fantasy guys. But watching the highlights of that game, that thing was back and forth.
Yeah, it was. And Pittsburgh had Roethlisberger back, so their offense was better, and they weren't playing in slug and snow and rain and stuff like that. So, still lost, though, because their defense didn't play well. But it showed that, to me, that Pittsburgh is a much better team than they showed against the Lions. And I think the Lions caught them at the right time, coming off a shortened week, and the Lions coming off of a bye week. And I think that's why that game ended up in a tie. If it wasn't for that, I think the Lions would have definitely lost that game and would be 0-10 now.
Yeah, and well, the good thing is with the ties, we can't go undefeated. But you mentioned the weather, Terry, the hot, the cold. It is that time of year, folks, as the temperature turns down, that you could start a new career in an industry that is always essential, the heating and cooling industry. Learn more today by visiting northwesterntech.edu. For Terry Foster, Darren McCarty, this is Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. We'll be right back.
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
Welcome back, Big D Energy, T-Foss, D-Mac here on this Monday. Just going through some of the NFL games of the weekend. Was there any team, Terry, this weekend that maybe you learned more about or were more confident or less confident in? Is it like, to me, the Bills, then we already talked about them, just sort of what are they? You know?
Yeah, I think the NFL has it's been a humbling season. Aaron Rodgers at times has been humbled. Tom Brady at times has been humbled. Matthew Stafford with that hot start has been humbled. So the best stars in this league have been brought to their knees at some point. We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know why it's going to happen, but it's happening this year more than it usually does.
What do you expect tonight's game? You know, and obviously with the Buccaneers, they're sort of, man, when it's called a tailspin, but they're not playing their best football right now. They got the Giants coming in tonight. Nobody gives the Giants any looks. They're treated like the Lions. They're 11-point underdog. But is this a game this is one of the games on Monday night where I asked Sawyer, hey, who's on the Manning cast?
Right.
Because to me, this is one of those games that I'm looking for the alternative to watch. But what is this something that we can expect? Is this for Tampa if they're going to have a chance to repeat? Do we look? We're always looking for these good teams to get right. Right? You mentioned Kansas City. Mm-hmm. They still look off. That doesn't look right. Tampa Bay's, LA's, all these top teams. You mentioned the teams that we count out that are, maybe showing some just now, right? Is Indianapolis for real? Or all these other teams. Dallas loses. So all these divisions, I think it's more so if you look at football in general, even in college, right? It's more of you look at the Heisman race, you look at the wins, you look at something that in the football landscape, it isn't playing out as it usually does.
Right, and when you look at Tampa, see, what do I expect?
Yeah.
I expect Tampa Bay to wipe the floor with the Giants tonight. May not happen, but last year, the Buccaneers, it took a while for them to really get rolling. And I think a lot of it had to do with Tom Brady had just gotten there, and so they didn't know how to act around him. And it seems to be the same thing is happening, but it's at a little higher level.
Right.
So I think at some point, I'm waiting for Tampa and Kansas City to say, okay, we're sick of this. We're about to roll now. Now, you never know what week is going to happen, but this is Monday night. I know Tom Brady loves the spotlight. He thrives on the spotlight. This should be the night where we put all the questions about Tampa Bay to the side, because they have a good defense is not playing well. They have Tom Brady. They have lots of offensive weapons that may not be in sync right now. But at some point, Tom Brady is that bonding guy that brings them all together. Now, what could be happening, now I don't know this for a fact, maybe there could be some Tom Brady fatigue. Okay, we're sick and tired of hearing about this guy every week. We can play too. So there could be Tom Brady fatigue, because the thing that people forgot is when Tom Brady came over, they brought in a lot of other players too to complement him. to play well on defense, but all you heard was Tom Brady, Tom Brady, Tom Brady. So I don't know if there's fatigue on that team or not.
Well, and you bring up a point because, the Tom Brady, the Bill Belichick, and the New England, it's the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just sort of the way it is, and you come there and you accept it. When they built the Tampa team, not only was it a Bruce Arians, so you saw the head button at the beginning of whose team it was. Then, to me, it seemed like, okay, relinquished to Tom, but you got different personalities that were brought in there as hired guns, as free agents, as that had pedigree to influence that. So what you're saying, it's a different mindset. And obviously being down in Tampa and obviously the weather, so there's different things, I guess, to move with, but you're dealing with a lot of different personalities. Because if you look back on all those championship New England teams, yeah, they had some personalities, but they were all one personality. Right? You like that defense, the Brewskis and all these guys, the Harrisons and whatever. It was like one person. It was like the unit. And it was like they didn't step out and everything was all about whatever Tom Brady. That was just the way it was. Right?
And New England also, no matter what we do, no matter how stupid it is, it's going to work out. They would release guys who were very integral in winning championships for them and bring in somebody else. They had what's his name? Benais, the linebacker from the Lions.
Van Noy.
Yeah, who was awful here, but he worked out there.
The career. Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell do you want with this?
Well,
dude?
It goes back to the coaching, right, or whatever, being put in a situation, where guys can get the best out of you. Right? Or know your limitations. Sometimes you're trying to put a circle in a square piece, and that doesn't work. And then when you don't have the talent, and when you're trying to, look what we're doing here. We're moving our left tackle, we drafted to right tackle. It's different things in having those pieces and stuff. But I guess to your point, if we're going to see if this is the legitimate championship Tom Brady-led Buccaneers, we should see it tonight, because as the games keep going and because it's a Showtime game, you mentioned that. Star players, when the lights are on in games like a Monday night game or a national game or something like this, there's a different level that they can get to. And we're expecting him to show out because he's done in the past.
It's almost Thanksgiving, brother.
Yeah.
You have no more excuses.
Right.
You can't say, well, we only have 2 games under our belt, or we had a shortened preseason, so we can't get ourselves together. It is almost Turkey Day. If you don't have it straight by now, Detroit Lions, you're not going to get it right.
No, it's that's crazy. As far as just different ways teams are going and what you can learn off them or something like this, and the Giants tonight, these are all teams that like you said, expect to get trunk rolled, but you never know what's going to happen. The only team that you really know what's going to happen right now, and be honest, is the Lions. Right, every week.
You can't even predict them. You can predict them to lose, but you can't predict if they're going to show up, if they're just going to get mollywopped. I mean, there's been some games where I look at them and say, okay, they look decent. They're playing hard. They're making this team sweat. And then, the Cincinnati game, Cincinnati just did whatever they want to them, and so you can't predict that. But that was a game where a lot of people in this community thought, you know what, the Lions got a shot. Cincinnati doesn't look that good. The Lions have played hard, so they're going to get that game. It was like 40-0 before you could blink your eye.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? The disappointment, and that's what we're talking about, is just being competitive. I mean, it goes back to the Michigan State, Ohio State game. I mean, it wasn't first quarter, and you knew the way that game was going to go. We sat here last week, and we sit here, this game could go this way, this game could go that way, and you absolutely saw the worst of it.
I don't think we said it could go this way or that way. We said Michigan State is going to lose, but can Kenneth Walker do something to keep himself hot in the Heisman race? That Ohio State-Michigan State game looked like Ohio State was playing Hope College, because they just did whatever they felt like doing it. And then they said, okay, let's bring in the backups in the third quarter. That's the most embarrassing thing in the world, seeing the backup quarterback coming in the third quarter of a game, because you weren't competitive. You didn't know what hit you. Michigan State still doesn't know what hit them. I was reading some of the player comments, and they said, well, we just didn't play well. No, you got overwhelmed. Coach Tucker, who said, don't use excuses. After you lost Ohio State, he come in with an excuse. Well, we don't have the talent. We gotta recruit. That's sort of an excuse. So instead of admitting we didn't coach them well, we didn't play well, we didn't do a lot of things. We just didn't have enough talent.
Well, there's one thing where you could use it to say, well, obviously the talent disparity is there, and we got to figure that out, right? Going in. I just think that the way it was, that I don't even think Coach Tucker it was just like, that was such a slap in the face of not being whether prepared or over. I think what you said is overwhelmed. And what did you see? You saw a team that had been there before or knew what they needed to do in Ohio State. Like, and prepared. You're not going to sneak up on Ohio State.
Walked out with a swagger. Like,
yeah,
we going to do this, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then and Michigan State looked like, man, they had their hands tied behind their back.
Well, that's the whole thing too, right? Because and taking it back to this week's Ohio State-Michigan game coming up, right? Because last year's game wasn't played. And you remember going into that game how Ryan Day came out and said, I'm going to put 100 on Michigan. Mm-hmm. And then everybody's talking about, well, Michigan bailed out of that game because they didn't want to be embarrassed. So it doesn't matter if that's true or that's not true. Now it's time to go play the game. Now, I'm 100%, 99.9% sure Ohio State and Ryan Day are going to be ready to play, right? Will Michigan have that answer for them? One of the things, and I know it always goes down to, is the coin toss. And I was going to ask you this, right? Mm-hmm. Because when Michigan State won the coin toss to Ohio State and they deferred,
right?
I thought that was a mistake. I thought if they won the coin toss, they should have took the ball, because at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? I just wonder if that situation comes down to Michigan, if they make a different decision.
If you think it's going to be a competitive game, I would defer, because I like the fact that there's a possibility of you having the ball late in the second quarter and then getting it back, that you can do 2 for none.
And then here's the thing is also too, I like the fact that if you can put it to them and put a score on the board first drive, get them playing from your heels. So I didn't play, so I don't know what the right or the wrong to maybe what you said, Terry, is if you think it's going to be a close game and you got the 2-score option. It's
the wrong move if they score. It's the right move if they don't score. So you don't know either.
So that's pretty much it. So that'll be interesting to see. But the one thing that I know for sure, fellas, football season right in the heart of it. So you know what time it is. It's time to make your grooming experience easy, like Sunday morning or Monday morning or Tuesday. 7 days a week. It don't matter. Get the Lady Jane's haircut for men. You walk in, you relax. You watch your favorite team play. Yes, I got TVs on all the mirrors. Before you know it, your hair will be done and game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. Terry Foster, Darren McCarty, Big D Energy. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. One mortgage myth we hear all the time is having to choose between a 15 or a 30-year fixed term. At Hall Financial, we offer the modern mortgage to create a flexible term that fits your unique financial situation. Our team of mortgage experts are available 7 days a week to review your goals and customize a solution for you. Get started today with a free 5-minute mortgage review at 866-CALL-HALL or chat with us online at callhallfirst.com.
Welcome back, Big D Energy, here on this Monday. I want to keep it here college for a minute, Terry, and because we talked about earlier on Mel Tucker agreeing to the contract before getting whooped by Ohio State, and people are speculating, they have signed him and this and that. Well, I mentioned earlier, Florida fired Dan Mullen, so another top coaching job opens up. So that's Florida's open, LSU, Virginia Tech, USC, and Miami, right? So to the point of the fact that the boosters got involved to be able to take Mel Tucker off that, But what I'm seeing is, do you expect any of these establishments, because these are big programs, they got a lot of dollars, they got good backing and stuff like this, do you expect them to make a splash with anybody? Is anybody out there to make a splash, or is it just recycled as always?
I think Mel Tucker would have been part of somebody's final list if Michigan State didn't give him the $95 million.
We can pretty much agree with the fact that if Mel Tucker, if this is still just a talk about are they going to do this or are they not, he's for sure probably listening to some of these offers. Now, probably the benefit to Mel Tucker was the fact that what he did this year and that he was here, so the money's probably there. But the one thing that this brought up to me, though, with all these coaching offers or jobs opening, is whoever does get offers, what money are they going to be offered comparable to what Mel Tucker was offered? So does that put him, because they did this, because eventually he's going to end up probably the middle of the road. You know, the Ryan Days, the whoever else is the guys that are successful, right, go back to the tables, you know, and get more money than the 9.5. But do these programs here, has the precedence been set by Michigan State in hiring this and all the money goes up again?
I think what's going to happen, since we live in a divided state, you got the Michigan people who hate Michigan State and the Michigan State people who hate Michigan, that he's not going to get a serious offer from another school. Now, the Michigan people are going to say, well, the reason he didn't is because he looked so bad against Ohio State. I think the reason that he's not going to get a serious offer is because Michigan State decided we're going to pony up, put his salary at the top of the totem pole. So if you want to pay him 10, 11 million, be my guest. I don't think anyone wants to go that deep. I think $9.5 million is probably that's as far down the road you want to go with a football coach, even the boosters. So I think Michigan State put him out of reach salary-wise because now they've decided we're going to play big boy football instead of just taking one on the chin and letting somebody steal their coach.
Yeah, no, that's pretty crazy, but not pretty crazy, but the commitment by the boosters, right? To not even just say, oh yeah, we'll give them the money or whatever, but realizing, you mentioned it earlier, if we keep them out of the 6 or 7 range, which to these great jobs that are open up is probably, would you say that an LSU, a Virginia Tech, a USC is a 6, 7?
You know what they say? So what?
Right.
So we got to beat 6 million. We'll do that. Do that in a heartbeat. Now $9.5 million. Now you got to make them think. Somebody may come after him.
But that's a number, though. That's a legit number when you're looking at going, don't touch my guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't touch my guy. We're going to work for this. It's just interesting because as the landscape plays out, I wonder if any NFL guys, any assistant guys, any guys going to do the Lane Kiffin, going to, loop back around, who's available or who's out there. Where does Dan Mullen end up? Where does that Ogeron go somewhere? Like that.
Yeah, Ogeron, he'll probably be at a lesser program, something like Southern Mississippi, or, he may have been exposed as a coach, and it's a lot of times he doesn't have that big name,
right,
that the Stoops have, and
even though he won a natty.
Yeah, even though he won a natty.
So explain that to me, right?
You
because
you're going 2 years later.
You win a national championship, but it's different folks for different strokes, or different strokes for different folks, right?
He's still viewed as a goof because he talks like this, and it's a lot of his perception. I don't think in college football in particular that people make smart decisions. A lot is based on perception of what you think this person is. It's not what he truly is. But I still think Ed Ogeron is viewed as kind of a goofball, not a legit coach.
What do you think of him? If I'm going to ask you, who's obviously Nick Saban, right? Nick Saban, top tier. Right. Ryan Day, you put top tier?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he was carried, and I would say Urban Meyer. Top tier. Not in the NFL.
No.
But in college. trying to think, who else do I like?
Do you like Kirby Smart, or do you like who's the Stanford guy?
Kirby Smart got rid of the stigma of being a guy that just couldn't get it done. That he has all the talent in the world, but can't quite get over it. And now this year, he's showing that he can put Georgia at a different plateau. Now, but you know, once again, we talked about Michigan. If they made the semifinals, they can't go and get smoked by somebody. Georgia can't get smoked on the big stage to Alabama or Ohio State, because then Kirby Smart is back in that. Okay, he's good, but he ain't all that.
Yeah. So is it fair to say that Georgia's the next level Michigan to the big boys on the big table, trying to stay up there? I mean, because they have the talent, they have the program stuff, but they just don't have that elusive win or consistent elusive win.
No, I wouldn't say that, because Michigan has never finished higher than third in their division. Michigan.
See, that's, you know, it goes back to what you said about 70s and 80s perception of how, you know,
Right.
where Michigan is just automatically, because it's carried that way, but then you drop the facts of what has happened in the past 10 years, 15
Right.
years, 20 years.
For instance, Michigan, their fans still think they're great. Texas, their fans still think they're great.
Well, I think Michigan's better than Texas right now.
Well, I'm just saying.
But
they had that perception of Texas in the 70s and 80s. They still think they're great. Texas lost to Kansas, for heaven's sake.
I know.
So, but they still think that program is great, and it's not.
No, and I guess that goes to perception. And is that mostly, how does that change? Coaching, it's winning. Is it the quarterback coming in, having a Heisman guy? What's obviously winning would be the easiest, like you said.
How do you knock the big dog out of his perceived perception? See, I think Michigan, that Block M is so powerful that it's going to be almost impossible for us to look at that as a second-rate program, because, you know, every time they play, except for Ohio State, you think they're going to win, and they usually do. Every time they play Michigan State, you think they're going to win, and they've lost 10 of the last 14. And when Michigan State was rolling against Michigan, beating them every year under D'Antonio, State was the underdog in every game. Every game. So, once again, that perception of the 70s and 80s, it takes a long time. You know, Michigan State would have to truck Michigan, I would have to say, for 3 decades for you to think, okay, you know what, that program is as good, if not better, than Michigan, because we're stuck in the 70s and 80s.
So in saying that, with where both programs are right now, right? That's where do you have more confidence in moving forward, where the programs in this state will be in 3 years?
If State keeps Mel Tucker, I will have more faith in Michigan State. If they don't and allow somebody to get them, then would be Michigan. Michigan has a better, let's say, has a better opportunity to reach higher levels than Michigan State, because it's got that Block M. It can recruit better than Michigan State. The key is, do you get the right coach in there? And now, the perception with Michigan, and we found this not to be true, all you got to do is roll the football out there and they're going to win. We found under Rich Rodriguez that wasn't the case. We found out that Jim Harbaugh can win 80% of his games, but not 80% of the games against Ohio State and Michigan State. And you're hired at Michigan to win the Big Ten title and beat Ohio State. The expectations at Michigan State are not as great. You're hired there to go to a good bowl, to beat Michigan half the time, if you can, and, you know, try to beat Ohio State every few years and win a Big Ten title every few years. So the expectations are lower. Jim Harbaugh has yet to reach his expectations. No Big Ten titles, no wins over Ohio State.
So that's why this weekend, would you say, is the biggest game to date for Harbaugh as far as being able to for the naysayers or stuff, and like the whole thing is where do we end up?
Every game against Ohio State is the biggest game because, and 2 years ago was the biggest game. Well, they didn't play last year, but 3 years ago it was the biggest game. 5 years ago, and then when they lost 60-something, that was the biggest one. But you haven't been able to beat them. So since this is the next game, the next Ohio State game, yes, this is the biggest one for now.
Here's my question, right? Because if he's able to win this game, can he take that momentum? Or is it one of those one and done, look what I did, and then you can't handle prosperity?
Here's the problem. Ohio State is a young team this year. And if you don't get Ohio State this year, I don't know when you're going to get them. Because that's why we've seen inconsistencies. Where they got a freshman quarterback, they got a freshman running back, and yeah, Olave and some of the other wide receivers are veteran. But you look at that team, little babies out there. Little babies is kicking ass.
Those three receivers, one of them's a senior, one of them's a junior, one of them's a sophomore.
Right.
So that's it's
so
always
if you don't
looking,
get them this year, when you gonna get them?
No, and that's the way to build it. So I wonder how Michigan fans are thinking. Are you excited? Are you nervous from what you saw Ohio State do to Michigan State last week? Is there quiet confidence? Do you have to ultimately win this game? Or, there's so many questions because does a 10-2 season or 11-2 season, does it cut it for you? I mean, all these questions, and the best part is that they got to play the game. And when are they going to play the game? They're going to play the game on Saturday. And you know what, guys? I got to read here to let you guys know the big game, Michigan versus Michigan State, is Saturday at noon on Fox. Woodward Sports and Gypsy Vodka will be live at the Brown Jug in Ann Arbor. Yes, Stick's second home. 10 to noon. Join Braylon Edwards and Ryan Romani from the Bottom Line, Stick, Joey, and more for our live broadcast from Ann Arbor. We will be live at the iconic Brown Jug in Ann Arbor to capture all the excitement of game day as the Wolverines take on the Buckeyes for the #1 spot in the Big Ten. There will be drink specials and Michigan guests and alumni. So there you go. The Brown Jug in Ann Arbor, 10 a.m. That'll be the Bottom Line, the Morning Wood crew, all Woodward Sports Network. So make sure you show up there. We are Big D Energy. We are coming back. Also, too, guys, the Lions and the Bears, Thanksgiving Day. Oh, how can you not like Thank You Fish? Oh, I love it. Woodward Sports Live for the Lions pregame. Don't let the game affect how much fun you have pregame with Woodward Sports Live. Lions Bears pregame with Jose Cuervo. They'll get you game right. Where? The Tin Roof in Detroit. Yeah, downtown. 10:30 to 12:30 because 12:30 is kickoff, right, Terry? Because
yes, sir.
Turkey starts early.
Early game.
Braylon Edwards again, Ryan Romani, Maz, Jade from Riff, Kennedy, and more will host the pregame live on Woodward Sports and 101 The Riff. Then the Lions postgame on Woodward Sports with Jim Beam. So if you stick around to the end, right, you've been pregame by Jose Cuervo. You can postgame with Jim Beam and join our boys Stick and Anson. The 2-minute warning watch party and after party for every Lions game is at the Brass Rail on the corner of Adams and Woodward. We start live streaming right at the 2-minute warning of every Lions game to get our reactions and crowd interactions. Sticks reactions is one of my favorite reactions, especially go back to the missed field goal or the made field goal by
especially
Justin
on
Tucker.
64-yard field goal attempts. He's nuts.
That is. DJ's Drinks, Woodward VIP section with food and more. Make sure you stop by after every Lions game at Brass Rail Detroit. And I'm going to give you a plug. They got these tater tots down there, Terry, that are to die for.
I've not had them.
Dude, they're like... Sawyer, you had them? You seen them?
Yeah, I've
They're
had them
like
before.
everything tater tots.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I'm going to give the Brass Rail because they evenly distribute everybody. So every bite is good. You don't get too much.
So these are the loaded tater tots.
Loaded, like fully loaded. T-Foss fully loaded. Anyways, we're Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. We'll be right back.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Woodward Sports. Missed part of the show today? Watch again on YouTube or download the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back, Woodward Sports Network. T. Foss in for Neil Rule and Joint Bell. See, we only need one to cover two guys. I love it. I love it.
We're playing a zone defense. Well, your leadership has been great today.
Well, you know what? I appreciate that.
You came in all smoking and ready to go.
Exactly. Well, got to embrace the suck for everybody out there. It was a tough weekend.
Right.
Tough weekend to watch, and you know what? Even I'm running the ship, and I'm going to save the Wings till now. Because I told you, I tell you, ebbs and flows. It's going to be like this season. And, coming off a road trip, playing 4 games and going 0-3-1 and losing that game. What did I say about that game Saturday night, Sawyer? Right? You can't lose those games. Into Phoenix. The Phoenix are the Detroit Lions. And you go on the road and you had your lunch filled. You've been losing games on this road trip. Then you go into Phoenix. You're up 1-0. You let them tie it up, and you lose in overtime, and you get 1 point out of 8 on the road trip. That, my friends, is the ebbs and flows, right? The ebbs and flows of the season. So,
particularly of a young team.
Speaking of a young team, right? Now, this is the one thing. They're exciting to watch, and they're frustrating to watch, right? Because they're still young, and they're trying to find their way, and they're going to make their different mistakes. But, I can't say it enough, the imperativeness to this team, right? As every team, and we mentioned the line, but the seasons plays out, the character for each team develops. And this team is developing a character of, I'm going to say soft on the road, but easy to play against on the road. Easier to play against on the road, where they go into other teams' barns. I tell everybody, we were always taught you want to be 75% at home and 50% on the road, and they're way beyond that. So the good thing is they got a bunch of home games coming up. They got a tough game versus St. Louis coming up Wednesday. I'll be down there doing game day live and being down around there. And, they got the good thing about being young, you have a short memory. Right? You have a short memory.
You need to.
Well, you have to.
Some guys don't.
Well, it's usually the older guys that do, but that's where the younger guys have to have, and that's where coaching comes in, right? That's a lot of it is task at hand, and the development, obviously, in Mo Sider and Lucas Raymond and these young kids and stuff like that. You're seeing Joe Valeno come up. Mentioned a little bit. I think this week on Wednesday, Sawyer, what are we going to do for pucking around the goalies?
Goalie something.
Yeah, we're going to do the goalies. We're going to do Nadalkovich and Grice because it all starts in net. And to me, that's where that these guys are legitimate enough and do enough for the job to get it done, that this can be a playoff team. But again, you have to win games like the Phoenix game on the road and stuff like this. So,
how old were you when you broke into the league?
21.
21. I had a limited road experience with the Wings, but I do remember St. Louis was loud as hell. They played that stupid beer song all the time. Yeah, it was a beer commercial, the whole thing. But it was loud there. It was intimidating.
Yeah.
Were you scared?
No.
Maybe not scared, but beyond nervous or
remember,
shaking in your boots when you were a rookie playing your first game in St. Louis?
Hey, no, because in St. Louis was the old Boatman Arena, right? So I played all the original 6 buildings, right? Okay. No, I got Sawyer. If you pull up 93 Chicago Stadium, Cam Russell, Darren McCarty fight. That's the one that made me so I got to play in all the old barns. Terry, I got excited. I got more excited playing in those old barns. Okay. The fans on top of you. One of the things around here in the OHL, Windsor Arena, right? Old Windsor Arena used to be the toughest place to play in the OHL. They throw batteries, pennies, all that stuff at you. I go in there every year, and first year, because we were in the other division, first year got a goal, second year got 2, third year got 3. I loved it. Going into St. Louis and having those people yell at you, going into Chicago, where... And that's where you see even the difference. But old Chicago Stadium during the anthem, and it didn't matter if it was a Bulls game or a Blackhawks game or whatever.
Yeah, probably Chicago Stadium was louder than St. Louis, I would guess.
It was, and during the anthem, the upper deck it shook. You know what I'm saying? And even they try to keep up the tradition in Chicago. But to me, like guys that played, and so the physical way, that was sort of going into the Gladiator Arena. I love going into getting when you got hated on or when guys that like it was the old school and stuff. And yeah, so here's old Chicago Stadium. I'm showing this for the people at home, but this was an exhibition, and this is where Cam Russell and I got in a little fight. Here he comes in. He jumps me from behind. Getting a little swing, little melee in the corner. Fed him a few lefts. Dropped him. Got down on top of him here, Terry. So this is the old stadium, right? And so when I get down on top of him, he's whining that I jumped him. Well, he actually jumped me. So we're having a conversation here, and I said, all right, let's go junior, center ice. Let's square off. So you'll see when we go back out to center ice, the cameras will pick up on us. It was just like Rocky and Apollo and Rocky 2 when they hit each other at the same time. He cut me for like 5, but I bambied him. But this is going on. There we go. We go square off. They're going to go to us right here. But this is an old Chicago Stadium. There it is. Jack Johnson. Watch this exchange. He cuts me and I drop him. Bam, 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 bam. See you later, Bambi. But that's
why'd you do the Jack Johnson?
I started to do the Jack Johnson, which you see is if you on screen, I'll pull it when this fight. I just keep whacking him up and down. Scotty's loving it. So this is an old Chicago Stadium. I still think this is why I made the Wings. You know, like Scotty realized that this kid he's still hitting him when he's down. But the Jack Johnson right here, right? Out like that. Right. So box and anybody who doesn't know Jack Johnson, he's Detroit old heavyweight 30s fighter, and he used to box with his hands out like this. Well, for me, fighting a lot of bigger guys, it sort of gets a detriment of walking into my fist. So it gives me time to space out and buys me a little bit extra time. Plus, it looks cool.
When you do something like that and you go into the locker room, your teammates saying, "Man, boy, look what you did," or are they quiet?
So we're in Chicago Stadium, and I got to go down the steps, right? So that's where they get you too. These old stadiums, they got these steps. So,
and those steps are uneven too.
Oh, they're uneven, they're slippery, they're whatever. And I got to the bottom, and Proby was in that, and he was already out on the bike, and I came down, and this is like bucket list is. Proby looking at me going, "You're crazy, kid." So Bob Prober telling me that I'm crazy. There's like bucket list stuff, but no, all the boy. If you look at the bench, the guys are going nuts, and they get behind that stuff like that. But to me, that to answer your question, no, I'd be looking because it's the atmosphere, it's the wrestler in me. I mean, all of that is you don't realize, but it's. I'd be the first one out there in the toughest atmospheres because I loved it. That's just part of me. So, but yeah, and that's the sort of there's like and that the game's changed, right? The game's changed. That's 1993. That's in the late 1900s, right?
Right.
Away. So the game's changed for that, but certain moments like that. You know, that's the unity. That's what you're looking for. And it's not always about bench brawls and fights. It's about sticking up for each other. Mention it. That's what this Detroit Red Wings team has, right? They stick up for each other. They're team tough. You saw it the other night. We've showed Adam Ernie fight. Rasmussen takes a hit and take exception to that, setting the tone. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's the inconsistency and that's what you're going to fight when you're a young team. So at this point of the year, 20 games in, I don't see them as a playoff team unless they can right this wrong. Now, what the most important thing is the game on Wednesday night. right? The game on Wednesday night's the most important thing now to get back on the winning track, and it won't be easy against a team like Phoenix. Now, guess what, Fish? No stick to ruin this today, bud. We got this, you and me. You know why? Just like that. It's almost like I was guarding alarm out there for the Detroit Red Wings, because Guardian Alarm gets it. A good defense on and off the field helps you feel secure. Guardian Alarm is state-of-the-art technology that helps you feel safe, all with 24/7 monitoring right from here. Whether you want to unlock or lock your doors, check your temperatures, turn on the lights, smoke detector, that deadly carbon monoxide. You too can have Guardian Alarm. All you have to do is call 1-800.
Stay out.
That's 1-800.
Stay out.
For everybody in the back, across Woodward, over at the AAA, that is 1-800.
Stay out. Get out of my house.
Get out of Terry's house. Get out of the fishbowl. Stay away from the ones and twos. Whatever you do, Guardian Alarm, your local security experts. Tell them Big D Energy sent you. Back for the last segment here. Woodward Sports Network.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Welcome back. Last segment here, Woodward Sports Network. The Professor T. Foss, and dude, the hats, man. I was down at Easter Market, and I walked by the Hatter. It was busy though, but I was down. I love that Easter Market, bro. They got some great stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to go there on Saturdays.
Yes, it is.
And Tuesday a little bit.
Yeah, and it's fun when the stuff you want is inside, not outside.
Right. Yeah, I don't like it as much this time of year.
No, you got to make sure you bundle up in that. One of the things I wanted to, and on our line, yes, to the watcher out there, it really pissed me off too that Giovanni Smith was out of the lineup against Dallas and in against Vegas. That you and I on the same page, bro. Here's a hug. We're good. Anyways, got to touch on college football or college basketball a little bit. Michigan got crushed by Arizona.
Yeah,
80-62. Now
two losses.
Right. That's what I wanted to bring to you, Terry, because for college basketball in the Michigan, and obviously Juwan Howard, we mentioned Mel Tucker signing a new deal with State, and Juwan Howard got an extension with Michigan. Do we read anything this early in, or is it the fact that Michigan's maybe taking more of the Tom Izzo, Michigan State tack, playing some of these? Arizona's not a rollover.
That's what I was thinking. I mean, Michigan State frustrates its fans because it plays Kentucky's and Duke's and teams like that early in the season and loses, but then comes back and strong in the tournament. I was kind of thinking, was Juwan Howard in a way doing the same thing, that he doesn't have everything, the whole offense implemented or defensive switches and things like that. There's certain things that are probably not part of the fabric of this team yet, but he'll introduce it at some point. You always hate to see your team lose, but these games now don't mean that much. It's what you do at Iowa or at Northwestern or home against Ohio State. Those are the big games because you're trying to win the Big Ten title. No team has won the national title in November or December. All it does is it moves you up in the rankings, which really means nothing in college basketball. It means less in college basketball than it does in football.
So you remember how you said there's like the college football's like 3-4 games a year, right? Is basketball the same way? So you don't did it switch at some point where the losses earlier in the year to better teams, and then the record to have, if you have 5 losses on your resume, it doesn't hurt you as much?
Yeah, because usually the Big Ten champion wins with 4 losses. Now, Big Ten basketball is different. It's a 16-game schedule because You can lose to any team on the road, first of all. College football, that's not the case.
Right.
Because I just think the Big Ten is tough, and even where, you're going to face a guy that's just as good as you, if not better, every night. Or you're just a little bit better than him. So you got to bring it every night. In football, it's not the different. Football is, in college sports, is the talent is lopsided. The coaching is lopsided. The facilities are lopsided. But, Big Ten basketball, you can go anywhere and lose. You come in just like, okay, we got Northwestern. We good. All right, fellas, make sure I get the ball because I want my 20 tonight. You'll lose that game because you're not that much better than them.
There's really, like, in the Big Ten, then, the legitimacy of the teams, and there's really no rollover games. And the competitiveness, I guess my question is, right now, who's going to be more successful in the long run? Do you think Michigan State, or do you think Michigan and
basketball?
Yeah.
Tom Izzo's been there for a while. Tom Izzo has been told 5 or 6 times, you're old, you're done, and then he proves them wrong. But Tom Izzo is in his 70s. He's not going to be there forever. So if you're talking long-term, 10 years from now, I would say Michigan basketball will be stronger than Michigan State basketball. Juwan Howard's young. Doesn't look like he's ready to go anywhere quite yet. Tom Izzo, from my understanding, wants to stay in East Lansing after he retires, but it doesn't mean he wants to be in East Lansing as the Michigan State basketball coach. And he is tired of recruiting. It really wears on him. And I think you can look at Tom Izzo, and he's frustrated not by his team, but he's frustrated by where college basketball is. He doesn't like the transfer portal. He doesn't like the recruiting part. He doesn't like the travel that he has to do. He doesn't even like playing like 3 games in 8 days. He doesn't like that. So I think he's getting to the end of his rope. So if you're talking to me long term, I think Michigan basketball will be stronger than Michigan State basketball, because I don't know who's going to replace Tom Izzo.
Well, I think and that was the key, right? To me, is that what you said there is, it seems like Juwan Howard is committed to this program, right? So
he loves Michigan.
Right, he loves me, and that is apparent, and a lot of the times. So what I asked you, and it sounds like to me, is that Michigan and Juwan Howard is looking bigger picture, setting up for the long run, doing more of saying, hey, look what Coach Izzo did down there. I'm going to learn from that, and this is going to make us better in the long run.
Right, and this might be arrogance, but Michigan feels that if they get their right guy and keep him in there for a while, that they can surpass Michigan State recruiting-wise, just like they do in football. Now, the key is once you get this talent, and I think Juwan Howard's going to get him because he's going to show them a pathway to the NBA. Every kid you recruit wants to play in the NBA. Even if they don't have the talent to play in it, never will get the talent to play. They believe in their heart of hearts, or even if they don't believe it, the old man's going to say, oh, you're an NBA player. You just have to get the right coaching and the right tutelage. And I think Juwan Howard is going to be able to sell that because he played in the league.
No, and that's it. And one of the things is that he's trying to combine the NBA game and the college game, but he's also, too, you can tell that not only he loves Michigan, but he's a student of the game, right? So I wouldn't take too much to anybody out there worry about the Michigan program or worry about the Michigan State program basketball-wise right now. I think the fact that basketball's underway, like you said, the Big Ten, talent galore, right? Good games, so everybody should sort of enjoy it. Terry, our last question. Who you got tonight? Tampa, -11. Take it to the bank?
I would take Tampa. I think at some point, they got to start showing out, and why not against the New York Giants, who are not good? You're at home. It's Monday Night Football. You got Tom Brady.
There you go,
Why
folks.
not?
You heard it from the best. T-Foss says, take the Bucks -11.
And they're not playing the Indianapolis Colts, so that should make it easier.
Absolutely. For Terry Foster, Sawyer Fish, I'm D-Mac. That's Deuces Gang Gang, and we will see you later.